Pringle looking towards Agard. Ravel, ambitious, but brilliant! I don't believe it! I swear I do not believe it! And they are back on terms!
Hello again, everybody. Welcome to New York Talk. Another very special episode for you today. Another Rotherham legend, another member of our Greatest 11, as voted by you guys last summer. We have Ben Pringle with us. Cheers for joining us, Ben.
No, thanks for having me on, guys. Obviously listened to Arnie's episode, so that was really good. So yeah, cheers for having me on.
No worries. And Mick, as always, I've got to introduce you, Mick.
Yeah, you don't need to, mate. But thanks anyway.
Got to let people know you're here, aren't we?
Yeah.
So I'll start with where you are now, Ben. You obviously we're recording the week of your playoff final success. And then Morecambe have had a very interesting week. We'll start with the playoff final itself. What's that, 3 Wembley wins you've got now?
Yeah, that was the third one, yeah. Obviously, it wasn't the greatest of games, but it was. I suppose it doesn't really matter in a final like that as long as you get over the line, really. So it was a good day for the club.
And what did you? I know it's early days now, but do you know what the future holds for you at the minute? Obviously, I think you're out of contract, aren't you, at the minute?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of teams. There's a hell of a lot of players out of contract, especially this year. So. Yeah, it's just kind of waiting to see. Obviously, the manager left today, so everyone's kind of just waiting to see what's going to happen, really.
Does that change your position then from where you thought you might be now that Derek Adams has gone to somewhere?
Well, like I say, obviously, I think there's only 3 players under contract for next season, and the rest were out of contract, so. Pretty much the whole squad is out, essentially kind of out of contract at the minute. So obviously the new manager coming in has got a big job. But like I say, there's obviously a lot of players this year with what's happened with coronavirus and stuff that are out of contract as well. So I don't know if I would have stayed if Derek Adams had stayed. I just don't know. But this is kind of where we are. So see what happens.
Yeah, Phil. So, moving on to your time at Rotherham. When you first signed for us, I won't say you came from nowhere, but from a casual fan's point of view, people obviously weren't a household name for even in the Championship. So, was it an easy move to come from Derby? I know you had a decent couple of years at Derby. Was it easy to come to Rotherham?
It probably is. I mean, if I was to do or looking at the whole situation again, I had a year left at Derby. And if that was, anybody else, I kind of wouldn't have been saying, leave that contract and jump down 2 leagues to a League 2 club. But it kind of happened kind of quickly, and obviously I wanted to play again. I was kind of made a few appearances for Derby in the second year and the first year, really. But like I say, obviously Andy Scott signed me that summer, so. I probably wouldn't have done it if it was this time around. Like I say, with a year on a contract at a Championship club, but obviously it worked out really well. It couldn't have gone any better, definitely.
To start with, it didn't go great, did it? I mean, the first month or so went quite well, and then, what sort of happens? Me and Mick remember I go to the pre-season friendly when we played Sheffield Wednesday. And I remember watching, thinking, we've got a player here. He's quickish, a fantastic left foot. We've signed a bit of a gem here. And then a month into the season, you sort of just went off the radar. It was really weird.
Honestly, I cannot describe that first 7 or 8 months. It was, like you say, I think I played every minute of the pre-season games. Mm-hmm. So I was thinking, right, great. Obviously, I was his first signing, so I was expected to play. Like I say, I played the majority of the minutes in the pre-season, and then get to the first game of the season, and I was on the bench. So I was like, this is a bit weird. And then, just from then, it kind of got bad to worse. I think we played, was it Leicester in the Cup, and they beat us 4-0 at Don Valley. think I played in that game. That was the one that I started, and then was on the bench, and then like one week I just wasn't in the squad, and that was kind of it for the next 5 months, I think it was.
Yeah, I think as supporters, we obviously all felt exactly the same as you did. What the hell's going on? Because as Matt said, we'd seen you in that pre-season, and it was like, wow, we've got a player here. This is great. And then it just seemed to sort of, well, like you've just described there, just nothing happened. Really bizarre.
Yeah, I mean, it was like I say, coming from a championship club, I'd jumped down 2 leagues, and I still had a year left at Derby. So looking back, I didn't really need to make the drop down 2 leagues. And then kind of when I got to Rotherham and I wasn't in the squad within August, I was thinking, what have I done here? Like, if I don't play, I'm in the last tier of football. Kind of what's going to happen? And yeah, for whatever reason, it just kind of got worse and worse and worse the longer it kind of went on. I think, number one, there was a period where I was with Warney for about 6 weeks where I didn't have a day off. I was just going in just because I didn't want to kind of give him any reason to leave me out. I didn't want him to say it's because of the attitude, or you're not doing this or you're not doing that. So, and then after that period where I gave it a proper go and I still wasn't anywhere near it, I just thought, you know what, if he obviously doesn't fancy me as a player, so there's not much more I can do here, to be honest.
Was there much chat about it? Because there's always that story, I don't know if it's true or not, where he suggested, so one of the fan questions we've got is from obviously on Twitter. Did Andy Scott actually describe you as a 5-a-side player? That's the story we've heard.
Yeah, I mean, I think he didn't say it to me personally, but it's exactly the same. I heard it. I think he said it to a member of staff or someone, just like a throwaway comment, like, he brings it just a 5-a-side player, kind of one of those type of comments. So, but I mean, that's kind of summed up those 5 to 6 months. I just literally could not do anything to get into his team. So for whatever reason it wasn't happening. Like,
what do you do as a player? You know, because like say you come in every day, you're putting effort in, you're working with Warney, or we all know would put you through paces. What do you do as a player? Is there a point where you just go, I've got to try and get out of here, or do I try and buckle down to summer months? What were your thoughts at the time?
No, it was tough. There was, like I say, the initial period when it happened, I was thinking, well, this isn't great. Like, surely I'll be on the bench, or I'll come on, or I'll start the next game. And when that didn't really happen, like I say, when it was getting to kind of your October, November, and they were training in one place and they weren't telling me what time training was starting, I would turn up late and he'd send me away. Wow. He'd make me train on my own. He'd say train with the kids. Literally every single thing he kind of did, and I was just saying, you know, what's kind of going on, but he didn't give me a reason. But I mean, this happens in football all the time. Like, managers don't fancy players, but I think it's the way that they deal with them. You know, making them train with the kids or not telling them where they were training, on what time, stuff like that. I think that was, you know, out of order, really.
Wow, that's bizarre.
Yeah.
Hey, I can't believe it. It's just, honestly, obviously we don't come from a football background, but you know, in any other walk of life, it's just phenomenal. Wow. And then to top it all, even if you did get a game, you'd have had to play at Don Valley, which, you know, who wants to do that? Yeah. What a hovel and hole that was.
Yeah, it wasn't great, was it?
No.
Does that ever put you off? When you first signed, you're thinking, I'm coming to play at Athletics there. It's League Two, and I've come to play in Athletics Stadium with 3,000 people, and it must have been such a turn off to play football there.
Well, that's what I mean when I say, you know, if it was to happen again, I don't know whether I would have dropped down the 2 leagues because, like I keep saying, I had a year left. If that was my son and he had a year left, I'd be saying there's no way you're going dropping down 2 leagues. But then I did drop down 2 leagues, and I was at the Don Valley, but then I couldn't get a game there either. So it's kind of like, what is going on with my life right now? So,
but then Go on.
Yeah, go on. No, I was just going to say, there was tough times, like, so.
And then it's time came to. Am I right in saying you got back into the team just before he left? Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, it got to January, and my agent at the time, we were talking. Well, we agreed a payout. So I don't think I had anything lined up. I was just thinking, I need to get out of here, because if I don't do anything, I've got a year left. I've not played for a year. I'm in League Two. Who's going to kind of touch me now? And I always remember going in to sign the document to basically say we're going to give you some money and you can leave the football club. And I went in to sign it that day, and he just completely U-turned, and just said, "Listen, I need you to start playing again."
Okay.
Which, I mean, to this day is absolutely bizarre. I think.
Wow.
I think the day before that, it was either the day before that or the day I went in, I got stuck in a bit of traffic, so I missed training for about half an hour. And normally he would just say, don't bother coming in or go and train on your own. But he kind of didn't come down on me too hard. So I was thinking that's a bit weird, given what's happened the last 6 months. And then, yeah, like I say, I went in to sign the document to kind of leave the club, and he just said that to me, and I was thinking, well, have you not seen what's just happened the last 6 months? You turn around and say you want me to be on board and play for you and stuff. So very, very strange time indeed.
How does that work as a player? So obviously you're ready to sign. Do you sort of believe what he's saying in terms of he wants to play you, or do you sort of think, well, he's just playing maybe a little bit of a game with you?
Well, yeah, I think because there's that much stuff that had happened over the last 6 months. From my point of view, I was thinking I can't sit here and just rot for another however long. I need to kind of get out. But yeah, I mean, I couldn't believe it when he turned around and said, "Yeah, I need you on board." The only reason I believed it was that he wouldn't let me sign the document. If it was anything else, I'd have thought, "Yeah, all right, he's not going to play me. He's just saying it." But yeah, that's what happened. And then I started training again, and then I think he was under a bit of pressure I think we were around the playoffs. That's when he started to get under a bit of pressure of, they might not make the playoffs and what would happen and stuff. So, yeah, like I say, obviously we went to Barnet and drew 1-1, and he put me on after 50 minutes, I think, and obviously got the equaliser. So, that was obviously a great moment for me, given what I'd kind of been through the last 6 months, and then from there, that was the beginning, really.
And then shortly after, he loses his job, and Steve Evans comes in. Before he came in and started managing you, did you know much about Steve Evans? As a fan, you hear bits about it, but we've only got to watch the team. You've got to work with him day in, day out. Have you sort of heard his methods before he came in? I assume you have.
Not really. Okay. I mean, there was rumours. There was Darryl Saul, Darren Patterson. They were kind of taken over from Andy Scott, who'd been there. And when the rumours started that Steve was coming in, I mean, I just remember seeing him on TV for a game when he was managing Crawley, and I was thinking, what on earth is going on with this guy on the side? Thinking, how do people play for him? Like, what it must be like, And then the rumours started coming that he was coming to Rotherham. So it was a case of, oh no, we're going to get a big shock if that actually happens. And then obviously it did happen. So
yeah.
Did he make it clear to you? Well, how early did he make it clear to you that you were going to be a key part of certainly the team from the following season? I know it obviously takes a few games, I imagine, for him to get used to the team and the players and whatnot. But was that quite an early conversation you had with you?
Yeah, I think so. I think the game before he took over, I think we won 1-0. I can't remember who it was against, but I got
with Cheltenham, I think.
Yeah, that's it, Cheltenham. And I got man of the match at Don Valley. And I just remember seeing him and Reigns turn up to the ground, and they looked so angry and so like me. And I was thinking, oh no, what a journey we're going to be in for here. But you know, aside from everything, you know, all the stories, he literally, and not even the lads would say this, he literally loved me from day one. Like, so, like I say, putting everything that comes with him aside, you know, it was great for me to play, obviously, nearly every game.
Anything, Mick? I thought you were going to...
No. As fans, certainly me, when I realised that it was coming, I was not a happy bunny, I'll be honest. You know, it just didn't seem to be a good fit in my head. It didn't seem to be a good fit for the club, and not a good fit with Tony Stewart either. You know, they just seem to be so very different characters. Probably maybe they're not. I don't know, because they seem to get on reasonably well. But at the time, I remember being quite annoyed about it, to be honest with you. But looking back, it's a good job I don't choose managers, isn't it? Because shows what I know.
I think, like you say, because of you seen what he did at Crawley and what he was like on the sideline, everyone just automatically goes, "Oh my God, what's happening here?" But you know, like I said, Arnie said that, you know, he picked some great players for the squad that he had over the years. So and he obviously got success. So he kind of, there's just not many managers like him now. Maybe back in the day it was more, you know, a lot of shouting and screaming, but it doesn't really happen that much now. So I think that's why, you know, he's different.
Very. But then the next season, so we finished that season, ninth or something like that, quite a way off the playoffs. But that was a big summer for us. For fans, it was a huge summer. Moving back to Rotherham, having 4 years out there was just everything like we've talked about before. But off the pitch, it was a very, very busy summer for players, weren't it? I didn't make a note on his signs there, but there would have been 10 plus, wouldn't there? 10 plus signings that summer. Is that, you know, as a player out at the club, is that a worry? Thinking, well, there's a new manager coming in. I know he likes me, but they're signing all these players a lot. Is there a worry that your place is under threat?
Yeah, definitely. Especially given what had happened to me the last kind of 6 months before that. I was thinking, you know, if I don't play well or if I don't, you know, impress him, then I'm going to be back, you know, training with the kids or on my own or whatever. And I think that kind of every day I went into training, that was at the front of my mind, thinking that I just cannot go back to that scenario. So I think it definitely helped me in terms of, you know, motivating me every day and making sure that I was not going in just kind of, you know, going through the motions. But yeah, there was a lot of signings that season.
Yeah, a lot of people. Yeah, a lot of ins and outs. On to the Aldershot game. Aldershot, who did play the first game of the season? Burton. The first game at New York. Is that again? You played a year at Don Valley, or most of the year at Don Valley. Coming to play at New York, was there excitement because you've come from that to New York? You were very excited to play at this new stadium in front of a full house as well. Instead of being a half full stadium, it's a full house. It sounds like a really stupid question. How different was it to play in those two grounds?
I honestly think that was the main reason why we had success. And I know that might sound strange, but like you say, going from the Don Valley to that ground and having the people that close to the pitch, I think it just gave everyone, you know, a boost. Especially for the lads who'd been there at Don Valley, given they knew what it was like. They knew that the fans were miles away from the pitch and there was no real atmosphere. To then go to the opposite, especially going through the season when we were picking up wins, you know, it was a massive advantage to the football club.
And the season itself, I remember League Two, Arnie mentioned it when we spoke to him, it was a grind that season. It weren't, up until that last 5 games of the season, it certainly weren't plain sailing. There were some tough games in there, weren't there?
Yeah, no, there was some tough games. There was some batterings in there. I remember 6-2 against Port Vale away.
Oh,
God. That was bad, that.
I hate that place. I hate that place.
So do we.
Purely because of that game. So that was a bad one. Steve had us in at 7 o'clock the next day on Sunday morning.
Oh, God.
Which didn't go down too well. I I think that was the day David Noble, I don't know if you remember that, he kind of said he was going to cancel his contract, but then realised he couldn't then play for another league team until January. So him and Steve had a massive argument on this. That was it.
No, I didn't know
on
that.
the Sunday morning, we're in at 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning. Obviously, everyone's raging that they've not gone out on the night time. And he kept mentioning Crawley throughout the season, or throughout his first month or two. You know, Crawley wouldn't have done this. Matt Tubbs wouldn't have missed that chance. He would say that to Nardiello all the time. Crawley this, Crawley that. And it was about 8 o'clock in the morning, and David Noble just lost his head and went, you know, shut the F about Crawley. You're not there anymore. Proper snapped at him, and that started a Barney basically. But it ended up with Nobby storming out, basically handing his notice in. He got into his car and realised that if he did that, he then couldn't play for another team until January. Well, it was only August at this point. So I think he rang me afterwards. He's like, "Things, I think I've made a mistake." So I think he had to ring Steve up and apologise for kind of what happened. And I mean, Nobby just signed that summer as well. So Steve was like, Steve was obviously forgiving him, and then a week later he was back in. But I even remember that there was lads signing who'd played with him before, and they were just like, they weren't angry, but they were just like, I cannot believe I'm signing for this manager again. Just because they knew exactly what was coming. So Port Vale 6-2. There was another one, Dagenham and Redbridge away, which was 5-0. I think that was the game when Gareth Evans told, we're 4-0 down. Gareth Evans told Steve Evans to chill out. When
okay, it's not a man I'd tell to chill out, to be honest.
Honestly, 80th minute, 4-0 down. He's put him on and he's shouting and raving, and Gareth Evans has gone, "All right, chill out, like relax." Honestly, I thought he was going to lay eggs on the sideline. So yeah, that was another one that kind of went off after the game. I think those were the two worst results that season, to be honest. I think there was one more, but I can't remember it.
Yeah, I remember that Port Vale game. It took us about 3 days to get there.
Yeah.
And then we had to park at ground, so we got some abuse off some Port Vale fans going out at ground after they just spanked us 6-2. It was a terrible day, that one.
That was the day we were accused of being the Man City of League Two, weren't we?
We were by some fans. Yeah.
The Man City of League Two, Rotherham United, who hadn't got 2 pennies to rub together. Unbelievable, man.
We'd signed a lot of players that summer, to be fair.
Yeah, no, we did. I mean, I just remember taking kick-off for the 4th time and looking up at the scoreboard, and it said Port Vale 4, Rotherham 0. There was 18 minutes gone. I had factor 50 on because it was the hottest day on the planet, and I was thinking, what is going on here?
Yeah, that was a bad start. It was early days in his reign as well, wasn't it? So as fans, we're sort of thinking, what's sort of going off here? Are you worried as a player? I assume you are, because you never know where the manager's going to pan at anyway. You're thinking, this is a terrible start to his reign. Is he going to last?
Yeah, I mean, like I say, it didn't start well. I think we got that win against Burton. I can't remember the results before that, but I think that result kind of brought us down to earth, kind of thing. And that's when I think that was the first time we saw the real Steve Evans, when he got us in that Sunday morning. But like I say, I mean, it was a grind that season, and the results were, we got some good results all the way through. But I think those were the worst 2 of the season by far.
Yeah, definitely. More on to some more positive ones. The final 5 games of the season. Again, the stuff of legend. That the final 5 were 5 wins in a row. We needed to win all 5 to go up. There's 2 standout ones for us fans, obviously, the Bradford and the Aldershot one. Are they of those 5? Are they sort of the 2 ways to sort of think back and think, they were massive results, massive games.
Yeah, definitely. I think like you say, the Bradford one, I think that was the one that got us over the line and on kind of the home straight. I think if we'd have drawn or lost that game, then it would have been really tight. But I think obviously the second goal when Kieran runs through and puts it into the net, I think that was kind of the moment we thought, this is going to happen.
Yeah, I thought that as a fan. As a fan, we've obviously been through a few promotions, and every promotion we've been through, there's always been a moment where you've just thought, "Do you know what? This is happening for us now." And that's exactly how I thought it was. When that second goal went, I thought, right, after I finished celebrating, right, we're gonna go up now. I could just see this. This is going to happen. Like I said, that's just how players see it the same way. I assume.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think, like I say, then it was Plymouth and Aldershot at home, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Obviously, Andy Scott was the manager at Aldershot, so I don't think I've ever been up for a football game more in my life. But,
at least you didn't Kevin Ellison in. Didn't you have Kevin Ellison to him?
Honestly, I couldn't. I think I woke up so early just thinking of what I was going to do if I scored. So I was desperate to score. Unfortunately, it didn't happen live.
How was I mean, you obviously wanted to get one over Andy Scott, but because it was promotion day, was that add to the nerves, or were you already up for the game because of that as well? It just a bit of a perfect storm for getting up for games, I suppose, wasn't it? Really, for you?
Yeah, I mean, we just knew that if we won, that was it. I don't know if we could have done with a draw or whether it was a win or a draw, but yeah, I mean, I think they were down the bottom, weren't they? They needed to win to stay up. Yeah. So we just knew we had to go out and win. And yeah, like I say, the 1-0 with a couple of minutes left, and then obviously that happened with Brex. That was the best way to do it.
Well, I watched it back earlier, and I didn't notice at the time because there was too much happening. But you put the assist in, so you've got the assist and the perfect view for watching all the crowd come onto the pitch. Put the best seat in the house for the first great moment in New York. Must have been spectacular.
Yeah, it was class. To be honest, when the second goal went in, everyone came on the pitch. I was thinking, all right, everyone's buzzing, but you don't know what the ref's going to do. I was thinking in my head he might disallow the goal or pull the game off or something like that. I didn't know. So I think a few of the lads were kind of telling everyone to get off the pitch. But yeah, obviously after that, it was fine. It was a great way to end the season.
And how was the celebrations for that one? I seem to recall that one you have a testimonial like the week after as well, or something like that. So it ended up being quite a good end to the season, not the promotion, but that as a celebration in the ground as well, a week later as well.
Yeah, that was obviously his testimonial, and the club, the club took us to Las Vegas that summer as well, which
nice,
which was again, a massive bonus. I think typical Steve, he kind of promised all the lads that we'd go to Las Vegas if we got promoted. And obviously we then got promoted, and he turned around, like he came in the next day or whatever, and just said, "Listen, because of the links with the stadium, New York, we're actually going to take you to New York. We're not going to take you to Vegas now." So the lads were raging because they've been, hoping that we're going to go to Las Vegas for the last 6 months. And Steve was like, "Listen, there's no flights, there's no hotels available for us to go to Las Vegas." Lads are thinking, what is he talking about? There's thousands of flights, hotels every day. So we're all in the changing room looking for flights, looking for hotels that we can stay. And we had to kind of put the foot down and just say, "Listen, we either go to Las Vegas or we don't want to go away," kind of thing. So yeah, we ended up going. We had to wear our Rotherham tracksuit in the airport, and we had to keep it on for the 10-hour flight.
Wow.
Which I don't know if you can remember. I don't know if you can remember them Rotherham tracksuits. I think someone tweeted me a picture of it the other day. It looked so bad, but yeah, we were there in the airport with it on for the next 10 hours. So.
It's a club thing that I remember when we got promoted in 99, 2000, something like that. They had a post-season away to Faliraki, and they made them wear the full training gear, all full tracksuit all week in Faliraki. Yeah. I don't know why. But
yeah, I mean, yeah, obviously representing the club, he wanted you to look correct and stuff like that. But I mean, they weren't comfortable for a 10-hour flight. Put it that way.
No, I can imagine. Just talk about some of the players, because that team that went up in League Two, it ended up finishing second. Now, also went down to last day of season, but there were some fantastic players in that team that should never really have played in League Two, were there? There were some superb players.
Yeah, I think what Arnie said was bang on. You know, there was players who shouldn't have been anywhere near League Two, but because of the way Steve obviously gets his players in, and you know the way he persuades them to join, he made a great team for that league. So yeah, there was players who were easily League One or Championship even, which was good because obviously when we went up, they were already ready for that league. So.
And the first part, we're going to talk about the next season. So what's that, 13-14, the League One season. Before the season really gets underway, we have the Sheffield Wednesday game at New York. The pig killer tweet. Start with that. When you put that out, we loved it. We absolutely lapped that up. Did you get any grief from the club about it, or were it just all nice and jolly because it's Wednesday?
Yeah, I mean, no one really kind of said anything. I don't think you don't see enough of that anymore now. To be honest,
I agree.
I agree, absolutely.
It's all the kind of. I mean, looking back on it now, it probably was a bit stupid given the fact that you know. I mean, there's people say like death threats on my tweets and stuff like that. So,
oh God.
It probably wasn't the most sensible thing to do. And then I went out in Sheffield that night, so not quite sure what was going through my mind then. But yeah, it was just an impulse thing, you know. Obviously, after the game, I was buzzing, especially with the goal and stuff. So yeah, it was like I say, you don't see enough of it anymore, but it's good banter, isn't it?
Very good. Mick missed that game because he was on holiday. His wife booked him a holiday at the wrong time again. Which is a shame, Mick, because the seats we sit in, we were right behind your left foot, Ben, as it went in. And you had best seats in the house for that goal. It was sweet. One of the sweetest balls you've probably hit while at Rotherham.
100 in my life, honestly. As soon as I hit it, I was like, oh my God, this is going straight in the top bin. And yeah, it was just one of those connections you make, which, you know, was perfect. Like, so.
Anything to add, Mick? Anything you want to say about being upset about missing it?
There's not a lot. I mean, I'm not bitter, of course, and I missed Dagenham and Redbridge final at Wembley because she booked a holiday, and then I missed this one as well. So we don't go on holidays in football season anymore now.
Like that season, you were basically ready for the League One. Like, I mean, having lost so many League One players, but while playing in League Two, how confident were you could push on to where you ended up pushing on to, or was it just sort of we know we're good enough, or we're not going to go down, or did you think you could push on to where you ended up pushing up to?
No, I think obviously there was Brentford and Wolves in that league as well, so there's some good teams, and again, kind of what Arnie said, you know, he brought in, there was the spine of the team, and then he kind of filled in the dots around it, you know, brought in an upgrade of a player, or brought in some good loan players. But I think at the start of the season we weren't thinking, oh, we're going to be up there again. It was just a case of see where it takes us, and then the longer it kind of went on was, you know, we thought, you know, we can do this.
I seem to remember Danny Nardiello leaving quite early, and amongst the fans there was a lot of questions about it because he had a fantastic season in League Two, and I think he started the season pretty well as well. I can't remember exact stats, but he did a good start to the season. Do you question, and obviously not out loud question the manager, but you sort of think it's just got rid of his top scorer from last season? We brought Matt Tubbs in, who didn't really end up working out. Was there a worry that there's potentially going to be a lack of goals, or do you just trust your mates around you, players around you?
No, I think when Nord left, that was definitely the case. You know, like you say, he was top goal scorer the season before, and I mean, the gaffer had been desperate to sign Matt Tubbs the whole time he was there at Rotherham. The way he went on about him, you'd think he was Ronaldo, which, I mean, he was obviously a good player, but you could tell he was desperate to sign him. But yeah, I think when Nord left, it was we were thinking, what's kind of going on here, kind of worrying what was going to happen going forward.
And that season was would you say that was your best individual season ever? What was 16 assists, 5 goals, ended up in the PFA Team of the Year. Do you think that was your best season you've had in your career?
Yeah, 100%. It was, I don't know, everything just seemed to go right. It was one of those years. I think obviously we signed Miles Addison on loan from Bournemouth, who's obviously one of my best mates, and Tom Hitchcock at the time as well. So they joined in January, and yeah, I think they actually moved into my house when they came on loan. So I mean, that 6 months was unbelievable off the pitch, but on the pitch was really good also. And I say that to the young lads all the time. You know, you've got to be happy, like whatever you do, and just make sure that you're in the right mental state to play football. Because if you're happy off the pitch, then 100% you'll be happy on the pitch, and that's literally what happened with me. It was just the perfect year, really.
Is there any standout game other than the playoffs, which we'll come on to in playoffs, semis and finally? Is there any standout games from that 13-14 season which you thought were standout games? For the Wolves game, like the 6-4, weren't they? That were crazy.
Yeah, I remember that. There was a lot of speculation that Wolves were going to put a bid in for me, or they did put a bid in for me, something like that. But I remember playing every single game that year, and it got to the Wolves game, and Steve dropped me to the bench, and I was thinking, what is going on here? Obviously, he did it because he didn't want the interest to come from Wolves, but I mean, I was raging that game that I didn't play, and then I started the game after that and carried on playing the rest of the season. But yeah, the Wolves at home game as well, 3-3. That was a cracker. I had a good game then, and we played really well there. And then apart from that, I can't. The Notts County game, was it 6-0?
Oh yeah, yeah. The Gillingham one away, did we win 4-3? We were 3-1 down or 3-2 down, going very, very late in, and Tom Hitchcock scored that trick.
Yeah, I can't believe I forgot that, to be honest. But yeah, what a game that was, and what a hat trick that was as well. I can't remember what Oxford in that league, or was that League 2?
That was League 2. That one.
Was it? Yeah. Yeah, that was another story from we played obviously Oxford on the Tuesday. I can't remember who we played on the Saturday, but we travelled down on the Monday. Anyways, on the Saturday night, I'd gone out in Sheffield, and literally 2 hours in, I walked out players and I bumped straight into Reigns.
Okay.
So I was like, this isn't ideal at all, because he's going to tell the gaffer that I'm out before Tuesday game right now, probably. So I was thinking, just forget about it and put it to the back of my head. So obviously we came in on the Monday, and I can't remember. No, I think we went in on the Sunday. We trained and then travelled down, or we travelled down and we trained. Anyways, we got to the ground that we were training at, and we were doing some shooting. And honestly, it was the worst shooting exercise I've ever seen. We were at a non-league ground, and there was lads kicking balls out the stadium. There was no one was scoring any goals, basically. Anyway, Steve started raging, saying, you know, it's a disgrace. You can't even put the ball in the net. You've got players on a night out on a Saturday with a massive game on the Tuesday, obviously aiming it at me. So he's like, I want a meeting with the 5 senior lads back at the hotel. It was the Monday. This was not the Sunday. Sorry. So the lads, I think it was Arnie, David Noble. Can't remember the other 3, but it was definitely them. There was 5 of them anyway. They had this meeting, and I text Nove saying, "What's he saying?" And he's replied saying, "Oh, he said he's gonna sack you because you broke club rules and you've gone out 72 hours before the game." So I was like, what? He was like, yeah, mate, I'd watch out because he's trying to sack you. So obviously me being naive and very gullible at the time, I thought, right, I'm not having this. I'm going to see him. So I rang reception, got the gaffer's room number. obviously got the number, went and knocked on the door. He's opened the door and he's just there in a dressing gown. So I was like, come in, son. I was like, all right, sweet. So shut the door, and I said, I was fuming because I fully believed Nobby what he was saying. I said, I've heard you're going to sack me. And he said, no, I don't know where you've got that from. I've never said anything about that at all. So obviously, as soon as he said that, the penny dropped in my head, and I thought, oh my God, he's absolutely set me up. Anyways, I was in the room with Steve then for about an hour and 15 minutes, talking absolute nonsense from every subject under the sun while he's still in his dressing gown. So I was locked in there for a good hour and a bit, which really wasn't ideal. And then I was actually late for dinner, and I've come down. We had dinner at 6:30, and I've come down at like 7:20. I mean, the lads were falling about the place. Nobby was like, obviously, I've walked in the room, and Nobby was like, "Oh, they're still trying to sack you," type of thing. So I mean, that was a nightmare for me. But he had a goal going out on the Saturday night, and we played Oxford on the Tuesday, and that was the game we were 4-0 up at half time. And I scored the 4th goal, and we got in at half time, and I was thinking, "No, great, we're fine, we're 4-0 up." He went absolutely mental at half time, as if we were 4-0 down, and the lads were just like, what is going on here? We're 4-0 up away at Oxford. Like, you couldn't ask for a better result. And yeah, he just went off it for whatever reason. Like, so, yeah, that was another memorable. I mean, there was stuff going on every single day at that football club. From arguing with the chef, from the groundsman, him and Rains were having a fight about who paid the council tax or who was getting the takeaway that night. He was firing the kit man, hiring him again the next day. He was having a go at lads for not, going out or do. It was every single day there was something going on at that football club. It was so entertaining. At the time, we were thinking, this is absolute hell. We have to deal with this every single day. But looking back on it, it was just an unbelievable time. Like,
it sounds like chaos, but
it sounds chaos,
double promotion. I suppose there's some sort of method in it, or was the method in it, or was it just chaos? Do you think?
Well, at the time, we got one promotion. We were thinking, how have we actually managed to do that? Like, under this regime, and then we did it again. So we were like, what is going on here? We've gone back to back. Like, people must think we're crazy, but yeah, I mean, like I said, there was never a dull day. There was something happening all the time going on behind the scenes, which people wouldn't have had a clue about, really.
Wow. It sounds very interesting.
It was. I mean,
you should write a book about it. It'd be a massive book.
I was just about to say, me and Arnie, that was our biggest regrets, because we always said we're gonna keep a diary from now on about what goes on every day. And I think we didn't write enough down. We didn't document it, but yeah, I think that was one of our biggest regrets, that we didn't actually get a book together and write down what had actually gone on over those 4 years.
Fantastic. Moving on to the playoffs. Arnie mentioned when we spoke to him that he thought it was either us or Preston that were going up. Was that a team thing as well, that you all thought, right, it's us or Preston? We are the best two teams outside Wolves and Brentford.
Yeah, I think that was they're obviously, we were two strong teams, and I think like you say, whoever kind of won out of that game, you'd have expected them to go on and win the playoffs, and obviously we managed to do that.
The second leg, I'll ask you about the Ghana goal in the first leg. A special goal, but as a player, you're against that. I mean, when somebody scores a beautiful goal for your team, it's great, fantastic. Well, you're just sort of looking there thinking, because you're at left wing, you can't do about it anyway. It's not like you could have fouled him like Arnie could have. What do you just clap, or what do you do?
I mean, I think I'm pretty sure it was Arnie. You probably left that out, but I'm pretty sure Arnie was having a go at Adam Collins, saying that he should have saved it. There was definitely something going on like that in terms of people were having a go at Adam Collins, basically saying that he should. I'm pretty sure Steve said that, like, you should have saved it, but then came out in the press and said, "What an unbelievable goal! No one could have saved that shot." So, but yeah, what a goal!
Yeah, and then New York again. Didn't start very well, but then you pulled out your trusty left foot for the first 2 goals, and we were off and away. There were the 2 goals in the first half. Really got us rolling, didn't they?
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking everyone was probably fearing the worst when that goal went in.
And then, like you say, we just managed to turn it around. I always remember when John Welsh had that shot from about 30 yards, and Adam Collins dropped it, and it just went past the post. And I was thinking, if that had gone in, but yeah, they had. I think they hit the post as well, didn't they, in the second half?
Yeah. I think it went back across goal, didn't it?
Yeah, that was it. I had a volley that hit the bar, which I was gutted that didn't go in, that one. But yeah, no, that was another good night.
The players you had to put the ball into, particularly in League One. I mean, to talk about Frecklington for a minute. How, as a fan, it was just fantastic to watch because he was just everywhere, and as a fan, he looked like a driving force on the pitch. What was he like to play with Frecklington? It looked like the type of player I'd love to have played with.
Yeah, I mean, I think Arnie said it when he said he was like an energising bunny, but I mean, he kind of set the tone and set the pace. You know, we were always kind of about that. That was Rotherham. That squad was always about kind of pressing people and chasing people. And he was obviously Rev started it, but I think Frex was, in there all over the place basically. So yeah, he was a massive player.
Yeah. And the night out of the Preston game, Arnie tells us you and him had a good couple of days.
No, it was good. I think we went out with a team on the Saturday night, which was a good night, and then. Me and Arnie just said, do you want to meet up for some food on the Sunday? And obviously, we did that I think we just stayed in TGI's Meadowhall until I don't know what time it was, but I think it was literally closing. And it was so weird. I thought Arnie would have told it, but there was a little kid in there on his own with a football. And we'd come out of TGI's, and obviously there was no one in Meadowhall. And he was up on the top level. We were down on the bottom coming out of TGI's, and we obviously we were that drunk, but he was just throwing the ball to us, and we were just volleying it back up to him, like in the middle of Meadowhall. There was nobody there, which not a clue what we were doing. But yeah, we just stayed in there and then kind of went into Sheffield. But again, like obviously there was a game in a massive cup final in a couple of days' time, so I don't really know what we were doing at the time. So
it showed it first half at Wembley, didn't it, as well?
Yeah, no. I think that's what Arnie said, wasn't it? That's probably why he didn't turn up in the first half.
Well, that'd be a lesson to you.
Yeah, it was his fault anyway. He's a bad influence.
Oh
yeah. That was your first of, so now 3 Wembley appearances. Looking back now, how does the build up to the game compare now compared to the other 2?
I can't really remember it, to be honest. I know we stayed at a really nice hotel. That was the best hotel that we've stayed at, apart from, like, aside from the other 2 finals at Wembley. So we had, facilities was really good. And yeah, we just kind of prepared how we normally did. We had like a season video, of everyone's best bits kind of all put together and stuff. And yeah, we obviously turned up at the ground and we were ready to go. And obviously it wasn't ideal what happened in the first half.
As a player, what did happen? It's the biggest occasion. I imagine it was the biggest occasion of your career to date, because it was still one of your early days of your career, and you find yourself 2-0 down. And I don't think we played badly. We just didn't play well. and they took the chances they had. Is that how you were sort of as well, or do you think we were very, very bad in that half?
No, I mean, like you say, we didn't really create anything. I can't remember any kind of chances that we had. No. They obviously got the 2 goals, and that was them away. But what Arnie said was that they were celebrating at half time, discussing where they were going on that night after the game.
Mad.
And I think that sticks in my mind all the time. And I tell everyone that story everywhere I go. Like, they thought they'd done it, basically. And I always remember we got into the change room at half time, and I don't think anyone said anything for 12 minutes. We just sat in complete silence. And then Steve just erupted out of nowhere and went mental for about 2 minutes, and then we went out, and then obviously the rest kind of happened after that.
Yeah, and they were special 15 minutes after that. The first goal from Ravel was a goalkeeping mistake, wasn't it? To be honest, it was a little bit of luck, which we needed the first one. But did you feel the momentum shift? Because again, as a fan, at half time, I was done. You know, I thought, right, I don't see us going back from this, because like in the first half, I didn't think didn't like creating anything. And then that little bit of luck, a little bit good ball in, but that little bit of luck, and it just felt the shift in the game.
Yeah, I think they knew that as well. I think like they would have been thinking, if they get one back here, then they're going to come at us, especially shooting, you know, towards our fans and stuff for the second half. It was a massive advantage for us. But yeah, obviously the goal got lucky, but I mean the second goal, I don't think they would have imagined that's how we would have equalised.
No, definitely not. Another fan question from Danny Glaves on Twitter. He wants you to describe watching Ravel's goal at Wembley and your view of the red and white jumping all over each other straight after it at the back of the net.
Well, I always remember it because I think I got a knock literally 2 minutes before, and I was thinking I was struggling to run at the time, and I was thinking not that I was going to have to come off, but I was thinking, you know, I've got a knock kind of thing. So I was hobbling around for about a minute or so before that, and then I put the ball up, obviously, and he's flicked it on and took a touch and volleyed it. And I don't think I've ever sprinted as quickly as I have in that moment when the ball went in the back of the net. I mean, to this day, I cannot believe that he scored that goal. It's unbelievable. But yeah, what a moment.
Is he one of those that were trying these things in training, you know, shooting from 35 yards on a regular basis, or did it just come from absolutely nowhere? Yeah,
I think it was just impulse. You know, Revs was always kind of, he put himself under a lot of pressure to score goals. And I mean, he was a massive player for us. The way that we played, the way he pressed, and like he was unbelievable in the air. But I think he kind of put a lot of pressure on himself to get more goals, especially in the second season. So yeah, I think in training, I mean, I don't think he ever tried anything like that in training, but I'm glad that he obviously did it in the game. Because yeah, I mean, what a moment it was for him and everyone really.
Yeah, very, very special. And on to, straight to the penalty shootout, because you took one of the penalties, and I watched it back today. That was a very, very important penalty because Frecklington had just missed, and they were obviously 2-1 up. And if you miss that penalty, it is game over, really, isn't it? There was so much pressure on that penalty.
Yeah, I mean, like you say, he'd obviously missed the penalty before, and I think after the extra time, I was on the floor and doing whatever, and the gaffer came up to me and he was like, "Do you want a penalty?" And I said, "Yeah, I'll take the fifth one." And he said, "No, you won't. You'll take the third one." I was like, "All right, sound." So yeah, obviously, when Frex missed, I thought, "Oh my god, like if I need to score." But I mean, that's probably the most tired I've ever been on a football pitch after that game. I think on the highlights you can see literally before the ref blows his whistle, I go up for a header, and I remember just landing on the floor thinking, my legs don't work, like I cannot get up here. But the game was still going on. So yeah, when I was coming up to take the penalty, I was just thinking, I mean, I was that tired. I was thinking I'm just going to absolutely smash this down the middle, and if it goes in, if it goes in, if it goes out the stadium, then I'm that tired. I'm not too bothered, but obviously, thankfully, it went in.
And then Adam Collin pulls off his Wembley heroics, and again, must be a very, very special moment to go up the Wembley steps and get the trophy. And again, that's boys' own stuff. Right? That's just a dream.
Yeah, like you say, to win on penalties, especially the way that we did 2-0 down at half time and come back, it was easily the best game I've ever played in. And then, like you say, to go up the steps and lift the trophy is a great feeling. You know, even this year with Morecambe a couple of days ago, it was obviously great doing it on the pitch, but it's not the same when the place is, you've got all your fans there and you can go up the steps and stuff. Yeah. So that was unbelievable day.
I should have started this. You know your medals you've collected. What do you do with them? So I've always wondered. Some people put them away. I mean, Gary Lineker talks about his Golden Boot trophy being in a plastic bag somewhere. What do you do with your playoff medals and promotion medals? Are they pride of place, or are they sort of tucked away somewhere special?
Yeah, no. I mean, I've obviously kept them. I think I've got 2 at my dad's house in Newcastle, and then I've got 2 of them. This Tranmere one and this one from the other day down here. But yeah, I mean, I've still got I kept all my shirts from the finals. I've got the boots and the headband I used to wear. I had that from the final in Leyton Orient, so I've got that. But yeah, I'm gonna probably frame them when I get a chance. Really put it all into one frame. Yeah,
that'd be good. And talk about the celebrations after the playoff game. How did they compare to other celebrations? Were they still a great celebration the night of, I assume?
Yeah, definitely. I think, given obviously again what happened the other day when we went up with coronavirus, that's obviously changed a lot. You know, we just jumped back on the bus and that was it. Really, we just had drinks on the bus and then everyone kind of went home after that. So it was a lot different back then because we had the reception room at the hotel, where all the family and friends could come in and everyone was together, kind of thing. Whereas the other day, we couldn't go and see people. They weren't letting us go up to the box or anything like that. So it was literally just the lads celebrating. But yeah, I mean, it was class. And even after that, I think I probably would have done a good 3 or 4 days after that as well. So it was definitely like I say, the best season of my life on and off the pitch.
Perfect. That's what we like to hear when you're people loving the time at Rotherham.
Yeah, absolutely.
Championship, a tough year. It's different expectations. When we came up from League One, we knew, as a fan, I knew we'd be all right. I didn't know we were going to go on to a promotion, but I knew we'd be all right. The Championship's a completely different ball game. Is that how you saw it as a player, thinking this is going to be tough? This.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when I was at Derby and I was playing in the games and some of the quality there, and then like Arnie says, you go to League Two. League One and League Two is very similar. Even now, I would say it is a grind. You know, it's a long season. There's good teams in both leagues now, but it's, you know, you've got to just grind it out. And whereas the Championship, you can really see the difference in quality of football. And there's more, you know, athletic players. There's more technical players, smarter players. Whereas League Two, it's just kind of long ball, whoever wins the flick on or the second balls, kind of, you know, scrap and fight and all that. So yeah, the quality in the Championship's massive.
But we still had some good times. There was some tough season, but at the same time, I imagine just as rewarding as the other seasons, because you're flying your trade again, like I say, against better players, but we're still having the success that we want to have in that season. If that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. I think we just had that style of play. We knew how we played. We knew that it worked. We knew that it was horrible to play against. And we had the personnel who'd done it for 3 years. Like Arnie says, we had the spine of the team, and we, like Steve, obviously made good signings in and around those players and gelled them in. And yeah, it was like I say, it wasn't pretty at times, but we stayed up. So.
In that January, things started to end in the group, didn't it? Ravel left that January to go to Cardiff, which was a really good move for him. And there were reports at the time that the club had agreed a deal for you to leave to, I think, Millwall, but you turned it down. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think when we got promoted from League One, there was a lot of lads who were out of contract that season, or they had a year left. So a lot of us, I think it was me, Frex, Kieran Agard, Revs, Craig Morgan. There was a good 6 or 7 who'd, been the main players kind of over the 2 years, and we were thinking, let's keep everyone together and let's build on it, kind of thing. But nothing really happened in that summer of the championship, and then we kind of got into the season and still nothing happened. Obviously, Revs left, which for the way that we played was a massive hit to us. And yeah, I'd heard nothing about renew my contract or anyone even mentioning anything. And I don't know whether Steve thought that I was, not going to sign or something like that. I don't know what gave him that impression, but no one kind of came to me and spoke about it. He just said that they'd accepted a bid from Millwall, but which I said to him at the time, they were below us in the table.
Oh, so we were fighting against them for survival, weren't we?
Yeah. And that's what I said to him at the time. I said, are you actually trying to sell me to Millwall when they're below us in the table? And I think that we will stay up ahead of them. Again, I don't really know why that happened, but like I say, kind of from then I was thinking, I don't know kind of what's going on, but obviously just to get my head down and try and keep the club in the championship.
Yeah, I remember reading about earlier, about the time that there was talks of a contract for you and Craig Morgan, but that was not the case. So there was never any actual contract talks of any significance between. Well, I don't know Morgan, but between yourself, it was you just sort of ran down your contract. Yeah,
I mean, I can't really remember too much about it, but there was never a contract kind of offered. There might have been, figures spoke about or whatever, or extending the contract. But like I say, I think because we'd gone from League Two to the Championship, and he knew who the spine of his team was, and there was players coming to the end of their contract. So we were saying, we've done this well so far as a club, we've done well for you. Why are you not trying to tie us down and keep everyone together and just build on that? Which was kind of strange. Obviously, that Championship that summer, they brought in, players on a lot bigger wages than, any of us had been on in the previous years. Whether, we were just kind of, we weren't asking for mega money. We were just saying, keep us together, reward us for what we've done, and let's build on it, kind of thing. But like I say, obviously that didn't happen, and I don't really know why that happened in January with the Millwall thing.
Yeah, very strange. Was there any other times before that, in previous seasons where you came, other than the first season which we talked about, were any other times that were your new bids were coming in? I know you mentioned the Wolves. Were there any other times where, not that you came close, but there was interest that you might leave?
Well, that summer they rejected the Championship. Before the Championship season, they rejected 3 bids from Brentford. But that, there was no kind of pressure or conversations with Steve or anything like that. The only other time was in the League Two season, was when my contract was coming to an end, and obviously I signed the contract, but similar to what Arnie said, it was the classic Steve, you've got an hour to decide your future inside this contract, otherwise it goes away and you'll never play football again for this football club. Which didn't happen, because then I obviously started the next game on the Saturday. So that was just kind of his way of putting pressure on and getting what he wanted, basically. But I mean, I did get a shock when I got the text through the first time that happened. So that's his tactics, I guess.
Yeah. But the season ended with success. Another great New York night, the Reading game, 2-1 victory. You've had plenty of great nights at New York, or great days and nights. How do they all compare? If you had to pick one New York game that was your pinnacle for the Rotherham, which one would it be? I'm assuming it's the Preston one, but go on.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I was going to say. When we were speaking about moving into that stadium, there was so many good games and days and nights that we had. There was just, it was just a great time, those 3 seasons. I mean, the Sheffield Wednesday atmosphere that night, when it was 2-1, that was probably a better atmosphere than it was for the Preston game. But I think for me personally, that was my best game for Rotherham at home to Preston in the playoffs. And then, I mean, to go to the final after that was being my number one, definitely.
And then you left for Fulham in the summer. To leave from Rotherham to Fulham will recently come down. That's a fantastic move for you to get. I know it's a big move down south, but you must be really excited to get that move.
Yeah, I was buzzing, to be honest. Like you say, just the sheer size of the club in Fulham, and obviously what I've done for Rotherham, to make that jump up to Fulham was a massive move for me.
And have you ever? We'll talk about Paul. I want to ask you about Paul Warren in a minute. But was there any ever time that you nearly came back? I only mentioned you nearly came back once. Was that ever the case for you under Paul Warren and anybody else that there was talks to come back? Yeah,
I think we spoke about it. I'm trying to think when it was now. I think it was after the first season at Fulham, or the first season when I'd signed at Preston. But me and Warney definitely spoke about it. And I think at the time, because I'd moved about so much, that I don't think I said no to Warney. I don't think I'd ever do that. But it was a case of travelling to Rotherham from. I was in Manchester and I'd moved around a hell of a lot the last 2 years. So. And then I don't know. It never kind of happened really. So that was probably the only time. But I wouldn't say I regret it. I mean, it would have been nice to come back, but also I didn't want to ruin what I'd done. For those 4 years. If I hadn't been as good as I was in those 4 years, would people think different of me? But yeah, that was the only time really.
And talking about Paul Warren, I have not met a person or spoken to a person that's basically got a bad thing to say about him. He seems like the nicest guy in the world. Is that the case?
The amount of times he got me through training or situations, especially in the early days, just to give us confidence. Or, well, like I say, when I was training on my own, he was taking me with Alistair Lane as well. I think one of the fitness coaches on the first year. But even in the second and the third year, he was just always kind of there for the players, like anything they needed. And I say this all the time: managers, they have the egos and they don't speak to players, or they don't explain why they've made a decision, which leaves players in the dark, and it's not a nice feeling, thinking of what I've done wrong or whatever. Whereas Warney, he's a people's person. He gets other people, and he knows how to talk to them and how to interact with them. And I think that's part of, if you do that, you're halfway there to being a football manager. And he obviously didn't want to take the job at the beginning. And when he was fitness coach, we always used to joke and say, seriously, give the job to Warney, because lads would run through brick walls for that guy. And he was just the fitness coach, never mind the manager. But yeah, I mean, I'm gutted that I never kind of got to play for him, because I know what he would have, I know he's a class guy, and I've seen him when they played Gillingham last season before. So yeah, I mean, he's, like I say, he's just one of those guys that you can't not help but like, really.
Brilliant. A couple of questions we've got from Facebook and Twitter to finish up on. What is your favourite Miller's goal that you've scored? I suppose we've already touched on that. You mentioned the Wednesday one. Is that your top Miller's goal? Yeah,
I'd definitely say so. Although I really like the Bradford one in League Two as well. The one where I ran from the halfway line, and also the one against Shrewsbury away. Don't know if you remember that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, nothing would beat the Sheffield Wednesday one, I don't think, just because of the occasion, really. Sorry about that, Mick.
No, it's fine. I'm not bitter. I'm not going to have an argument with my wife when I finish this Actually.
What was your favourite Miller's moment? These messages, questions from Andy Cook on William Topham on Facebook. What you feel not necessarily the goal, but what was your top moment for the Millers?
Yeah, definitely. I think the playoff final is obviously number one. But then the Preston night, the Reading when we stayed up as well. But as I said earlier, there was so much happening every single day that honestly we could not believe we'd done back-to-back promotions and then got stayed up from relegation in the Championship. So, like I say, it was one of those periods where every player, because they hated it that much, wanted to get out and leave and go and play for a different club because of what the regime was like with Steve. He used to make players' lives hell, like, every day. But looking back on it now, it was easily the most enjoyable time of my career. I remember going to Fulham thinking, like, nothing's happening, like nothing is going on. There's no arguments, nobody's getting sacked, no one's getting told off because they didn't put the ball up the line, or there was just it was just boring, nothing really happened. So I think
too quiet.
Yeah, that was it. But yeah, I think me and Arnie not making that book was definitely the biggest regret. But yeah, there was so many moments day in, day out, that kind of, the little ones that you forget about, but that was part of the experience.
A final one for me is, we talked before, and I know we can't have the Steve Evans story, which I understand. Is there any other Steve Evans stories that stick out in your mind that can be broadcast at the moment?
I mean, like I said, there was absolutely hundreds. I mean,
what would it? He argued with the ground staff, and what was he arguing about? Because our ground was beautiful.
I mean, honestly, that's what I mean. If there was a member of staff in that football club, he'd find something to argue with them about. How he did it, I don't know. But I mean, we had a kit man, Adam Curtis, and he would give him hell every day. Like I say, him and Rains would have arguments before they'd even got to training, and Rains is leaving because he's not putting the cones out anymore. And he was bringing lads in saying, "You're not doing this with your game," and stuff like. I mean, I remember he took us to, I don't know if you've heard of a place called Largs in Scotland. No. We did. They do the coaching badges up there, and I mean, it was old school. Like old kind of dorms. Anyways, we were there. We were there for I think it was 11 days we were there. And the place was so hot. We were in these tiny rooms, sharing a room. The TV was, something from the 1800s. And you've got 20 lads there, literally in 30 degrees. There was no windows because there was no air coming in. So the whole team was just sitting out in the corridor every night because there was nowhere else to go. But we did. That was it. He told us. He told us that they'd beaten AC Milan off for the week or the 10 days that we were there. So it was basically between us and AC Milan, and Largs had selected Rotherham United to stay in Largs ahead of AC Milan.
As you do.
As you do.
It's a fair choice, that.
That was one. I think there was another one, Michael Tidser. When he joined, he was obviously a Scottish lad. So before that week started in Largs, Steve had said to him, come down and sign, blah, blah, blah. And Tids was like, all right, I'll come down and sign. And then is it all right if I get up the road and I'll just meet you at the hotel on Monday? And Steve was like, yeah, that's fine. Obviously, Tids has come down 4 hours, whatever it was, from Scotland to sign the contract. And he's gone, signed the contract, everything fine. He's just like, right, so I'll meet you up there on Monday for the the start of the football, the training camp. And Steve was like, no, we're professional here. We don't do that. You'll stay down here with us and travel up with the squad. And I mean, to his face, obviously thinking he was going back up the road to meet us there. But again, that was kind of Steve's way of pressurising players and bullying them into getting what he wanted.
But you went back to me. He signed you under Gillingham as well, didn't you? So there must be something about him.
I got some stick on my phone when that went through and it got announced. And he, you know, as I said, putting everything aside, all the stories, he played me from minute one, and he loved me at Rotherham. So for that, I'll always be kind of grateful for that. But yeah, obviously I went back to Gillingham last season. Again, I didn't play for 10 games or something like that. And he put me on the 86th minute away at Wimbledon. And the 89th minute, I'd got a straight red for saying something to the ref that I shouldn't have done.
Oh dear.
We were 1-0 down, and Steve went absolutely mental in the change rooms at me after that game as well, which was annoying for me because I'd not played in 10 games. He brings me on for 3 minutes and I get a straight red. So that was, again, another kind of tough period. But after that, after my suspension, I came back, and it was in January. The loan window and transfer window was closing. And 2 days before it closed, we played Rochdale away, and I should have started the game, and he told me that, but he said, you'll be on the bench, and Rains pulled me after, and he just said, listen, like, we think you should go out on loan and get some games, like, we're happy for you to leave, kind of thing. So I think this was the Saturday, the transfer window shut on the Wednesday, and we had a game on the Tuesday. And we trained on the Monday, turned up on the Tuesday, walked in, and he's put the team up, and he started me on the left wing, and I'm thinking, you told me 2 days ago that I could leave for free or I could go out on loan. Anyways, we played and we won. I got man of the match. We won 2-0. And Steve was like, came up to me after the game. He was like, "You're not going anywhere. Forget what I said the other day. You're not leaving on loan." And he was like, "Were you surprised?" And I was like, "Well, obviously I was surprised because 3 days ago you were basically throwing me in the bin, and now you wanted me to start on a Tuesday night." But yeah, that was just, you know, the way he was with players. So, and then obviously the season got cancelled for coronavirus not long after that. But he's done well with that team. To be fair, with Gillingham, they've improved the last 2 years, I think. Well, obviously, see how it goes with the signings this summer. No doubt there'll be another 64 players going into that football club. So we'll see how that goes.
Mick, have you got anything else you'd like to ask?
No, I mean, it's been fantastic, Ben. I really, really appreciate it. I could sit here and listen all night. Some of these stories are fantastic. It's just what you expect from Steve Evans. You know, it's just like how he can have a go at you for getting a red card for mouthing off at a referee is utter beyond me. That's just hypocrisy, like I've never seen. But
yeah, I mean that was kind of, but then again, that was the relationship we had. You know, he loved me, but then there were certain players he could shout at on a, you know, me, Arnie, Morgs, Frex. There was. Whereas other players, like what Arnie said the other day, they turned up on loan or they signed and they were beaten before they'd even gone on the pitch because they were so scared of, you know, what he was like as a person, and they might not be able to handle that. But yeah, I mean, the shouting would be a daily occurrence between a number of players, daily.
Shattered my idea of a football club, because in my head, football clubs are these well-oiled machines that run smoothly. And apparently it's just chaos.
Well, that's what I mean. Like I say, when I left, I was like, there's nothing happening here. It's pretty boring, to be honest. But yeah, I mean, that's, like I say, those 3 or 4 years were just absolute carnage. And I'm sure if you speak to, you know, some of the other lads, they'll all have their own stories and what, you know, their views of how it happened as well. But it certainly wasn't. It was entertaining, put it that way.
Definitely. Thank you very much, Ben, for doing this. Thank you, everybody who was listening and watching. We hope you've enjoyed it as well, as much as we have. And
Pringle looking towards Agard. Ravel, ambitious.